Welcome to another Being Outdoors Words of Matthias. This time we're going to take a look into 2 Kings chapter 5, and we're going to start reading in verse 16. In 2 Kings chapter 5 is a very interesting story. If you read it, it's a story about Naaman. And just to kind of give you a quick review, if you kind of are not familiar with the story, is when Naaman had leprosy. And he went and seeked out Elisha, and Elisha told him to go dip in the Jordan River 7 times, and Naaman got very upset about that, said he wasn't going to do it. His servants convinced him to, and so he went and dipped 7 times. And after he dipped the 7th time, his flesh was white as snow, and he went and saw Elisha. And when he did, he tried to offer Elisha some gifts in exchange for healing him, or God healing him. And that's where we're going to start reading verse 16. But he said, "As the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none." And he urged him to take it, but he refused. And Naaman said, "Shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servants 2 mules, burden of earth? For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the Lord. In this thing the Lord pardon thy servant. And when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardon thy servant in this thing." And he sent him, "Go in peace." So he departed from him a little way. Verse 20. But Gehazi, or I'm going to call that name Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, "Behold, my master has spared Naaman the Syrian, and not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him, and take somewhat of him." So Gehazi followed after Naaman, and when Naaman saw him running, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him, and said, "Is all well?" And he said, "All is well. My master has sent me, saying, Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, a talent of silver, and 2 changes of garments." And Naaman said, "Be content, take 2 talents. And he urged him, and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags, with 2 changes of garments, and laid them upon 2 of his servants. And they bare them before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand, and bestowed them in the house, and he let the men go, and they departed. But he went in and stood before his master. And Elisha said to him, "Whence comest thou, Gehazi?" And he said, Thy servant went no whither." And he said to him, "Went not my heart with thee when the man turned from his chariot to meet thee? Is it a time to receive money, and receive garments, and olive yards, and vineyards, and sheep, and oxen, and men servants, and maidservants?" Verse 27. "The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto thee, and unto thy seed forever." And he went out from his presence, a leper as white as snow. That's a very interesting story. I was actually studying a few weeks ago, and was preaching about Naaman to my junior church, and just kept reading the chapter. And as I kept reading the chapter, this came to me, and I just read the chapter just out of curiosity. And I was like, I never knew this story was there. And basically what happened was, Elisha had a servant named Gehazi, and when Gehazi saw this transaction take place where Naaman was healed, and Naaman offered gifts to Elisha, silver and gold and changes of clothes, and Elisha said, "No, I'm not taking any of that. This is what God wanted me to do." And so Naaman was like, "Okay," and left. Well, Gehazi sat and looked at that and thought, "I got to have some of that money," and chased after Naaman. Told Naaman that Elisha had sent him, that he wanted some talents of silver and some changes of clothes, and Naaman obliged and gave him those things, and Gehazi took those off. And then when he came back, then Elisha said unto him, "Where are you going?" He said, "Well, I didn't go anywhere." And Elisha knew, because he was God's man, and God had told him, no doubt, what had happened, or maybe he could see from afar off. And he said, "Because you've lied and you took us stuff that we weren't supposed to take, and I refused, you are going to get the leprosy that Naaman had." And so basically, Gehazi didn't drop dead right then, but was basically given a death sentence, because leprosy was a death sentence. There was no cure for it. And it's a flesh-eating disease that destroys your body from the outside in and just rots the body. And it says right then his flesh became white as snow, which means he became a total leper all over. And I was thinking about that story and was reading it, and I was like, well, Gehazi told a lie. But the one thing that stood out to me that I think we can relate to today, me as a business owner, and and being in business for so many years now, is that classic verse in the Bible that the love of money is the root of all evil. The Bible says there's nothing wrong with owning money. There's a lot of people the Bible talks about extensively that had a lot of money. Job was very rich. Abraham had stuff. Solomon was very rich. Okay, and we can go, and there's more people than just them. But there's a lot of people who were wealthy in the Bible, and there's people who were wealthy and became Christians. But the thing is, having money has never been the root of evil, but the love of money is the root of all evil. And I know there's some people that probably will listen to this, and even in my own heart sometimes will think, well, I don't love money. Do you chase it? Do we chase it with a feeling of we try to get as much as we can with no end in sight? There is no cap. You know, I've heard people say, well, you can't outgive God. And I think with our human selfish nature, you can't outgive us because we'll take all we can get. But I've noticed something in today's world, and I have to guard this myself, is that everyone, if we're not careful, look to other people, especially people our own age or same group of people, and will evaluate, do I have what that person has? Their house is bigger than mine. They have nicer cars, or they don't have as nice cars. My clothes are nice. And basically do what I call a status test, so to speak, and say, look at what they have, look what I have, I'm better off than they are, or I wish I had more, or whatever it is. The Bible says be content with such things as you have. And I believe that Keziah looked out there and thought, look at all that money, look at all this stuff. Why don't we chase? I just can't let this go. If Elisha don't want it, I'm going to go get some. And he chased after that. And there was a consequence for that. He even went as far as to lie and do what he wasn't supposed to get it. And there's two things. We can lie and cheat to get something, to get money or whatever. And the Bible says, be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. You will reap what you sow. But I think more importantly is we need to be careful about being content with what we have. Okay? And I think that hits us more so than anything else, because we can look and say, well, we don't have to love money. But are we content with what we have? Do we look at other people and see what they have? I've seen this personally. I haven't done it, but I've seen other people do it and heard of saying, well, I saw on Facebook somebody just moved to a new house. I saw on Facebook somebody just got a new car. Or I saw on Facebook somebody bought this, that, and the other, or went on vacation to somewhere else, somewhere, I guess, above and beyond, like going to the beach or something. And look at that person and say, well, I wish I had that. Or have a bad attitude toward that person. Maybe have bitter or some kind of envious or covetous type feelings toward them. Say, well, I bet they financed everything they got, or they spend every dime. And if we're not careful, we can develop a wrong attitude over someone else's success. And Keziah let that attitude inside of him build up to the point where he went and sinned, and God punished him with leprosy over it. And so I'm saying all that for us just to think, do we have Keziah's type attitude where, one, are we content with what we have? Are we looking, trying to get all we can? Are we in competition with other people? Those are all things I think that are very important for us to live happy, content, God-pleasing lives that we need to kind of have a balance of. Yes, it is great to pursue happiness and the pursuit of it and achieve, at your job and moving up the levels. I get all that. But at what cost are we willing to do that? Go that distance. And so I think we need to ask ourselves, and me included, because I'm preaching to me as a business person, because sometimes I can let my eyes get so big and think, well, I need to do this, I need to do that. But what is all that going to cost me? And I need to have the right attitude. And why am I trying to do certain things? And so let's just think about that in 2 Kings chapter 5 about Keziah, that we don't develop those type of attitudes. This has been in the words of Matthias from Being Outdoors Devotional. If you have any question about what you have seen and heard, you can give us a call at 336-564-2400. We'll be glad to talk to you. You can email us at eric@beingoutdoors.com. And we're glad to answer any questions you have or just talk about the Lord with you. And we'll have another one of these coming up shortly. Thanks for watching.